There is a version of Donna Douglas that America thought it knew. She was the barefoot country girl with the rope belt and the wide smile, the one who talked to animals and made millions of people feel like everything was going to be just fine. For 9 seasons, she walked onto that set and became Elly May Clampett so completely that the line between the actress and the character started to blur in the public imagination. But behind that familiar face was a woman carrying a life so layered, so quietly painful, and so deeply private that most of the people watching her every week had absolutely no idea who she really was. Donna Douglas was born Doris Ione Smith on September 26, 1932, in Pride, Louisiana. The name of that small town almost sounds invented, like something a screenwriter would choose to make a point, but it was real, and so was everything that came with it. Pride was the kind of place where the road stayed unpaved for a long time, and where families measured their stability not by what they had but by how long they could hold on to it. Her father worked long hours for Standard Oil, and her mother had once been a telephone operator before settling into homemaking. The house they lived in was modest, and comfort in that world was not something you took for granted. It was something you earned with patience and endurance. Growing up as the only daughter in that environment, Donna developed a personality that did not fit neatly into the expectations placed on girls in rural Louisiana in the 1940s. She was not drawn to sewing circles or quiet rooms. She was drawn to the outdoors, to trees she could climb and animals she could bring home. Turtles, frogs, crawfish, anything that moved and needed something, she found it interesting. Her family was deeply Catholic, and the community around her had firm ideas about how a young woman should carry herself. But Donna's energy refused to stay inside those lines. She played softball. She played basketball. She competed and she did not apologize for it. When she graduated from St. Gerard Catholic High School in Baton Rouge in 1951, she was part of the school's very first graduating class, which was a small but telling detail. Even before her name meant anything to anyone outside Louisiana, she was already walking paths that had not been fully cleared yet. Then life moved fast and it moved hard. In 1949, while still in high school, she married Roland John Bourgeois Jr. She was not yet 17. In the world she grew up in, that was not unusual, but it was heavy. Marriage in a Catholic community came with layers of obligation and expectation that did not leave much room for a young woman to discover what she actually wanted. For a few years, the shape of her future seemed already fixed. Then on September 14, 1954, just days before her 22nd birthday, she gave birth to her son Danny. And whatever complicated feelings she had about her marriage, the love for that child was immediate and total. But the marriage itself was already breaking. That same year, she and Roland divorced. In that place and time, that decision carried real social weight. Divorce in a tight Catholic community was not just a legal matter. It was something people talked about, something that followed a woman into rooms before she even opened her mouth. She was 21 years old, newly divorced, raising a baby, and without a clear plan. Most people in that position would have pulled inward and waited. Donna did the opposite. She began entering beauty pageants. On the surface, it might look like vanity, but it was not. It was strategy. It was a woman with almost no resources using what she had to create leverage that did not exist for her otherwise. In 1955, she won the Miss Cinderella title and received a Caribbean cruise. She competed under her married name in those early years. By 1957, she had won both Miss Baton Rouge and Miss New Orleans in the same year, and suddenly people in the right circles were paying attention. Those victories gave her something more valuable than a crown. They gave her a reason to believe that leaving was possible. And then she did the thing that haunted her for years afterward. She left Danny, who was 3 years old, with her parents in Louisiana and boarded a bus to New York City with almost no money and no guaranteed future. That decision does not fit into any easy narrative. It was not abandonment, and it was not selfishness. It was a mother making a brutal calculation, telling herself that a temporary separation might build a permanent stability. But knowing the reason does not make the leaving painless, and Donna never pretended otherwise. She carried that weight quietly, the way people carry things they cannot fully explain to others. New York was not waiting for her with open arms. Her pageant titles meant very little to Manhattan agencies. Her Louisiana accent, which had always been part of her charm, became something casting directors corrected or dismissed. She had no apartment, no powerful contact, and no soft landing. She stayed in boarding houses where the nights were long and the walls were thin. She walked into agency after agency and was told she needed professional photographs that cost money she did not have. She stood in cattle calls alongside hundreds of other women, all of them hungry for the same small job. She took billboard modeling work that paid $5 to $10 an hour, standing outside in cold weather, holding products and smiling through it. Some auditions were degrading in ways that were hard to describe, moments where she was examined like livestock and told to keep smiling anyway. To save money, she ate one meal a day. Whatever she managed to earn, she sent a portion back to Louisiana for Danny. Then something happened that could have destroyed her and instead revealed exactly who she was. Around 1957, at an audition for a television variety show, a producer invited her into a private office and made it clear he was interested in something beyond her professional abilities. She needed that job badly. She had a child depending on her. She had weeks where rent felt impossible. But she had also grown up with a set of values rooted in Christian faith, and those values were not decorative. They were structural. She refused, walked out of that office shaken and in tears, and braced herself for the consequence. Then something unexpected happened. She got the job anyway. The producers, it turned out, were eager to avoid scandal and wanted performers who could not be leveraged or compromised. Her refusal had become, in a strange way, her qualification. Small breaks followed. She landed a role as the letters girl on NBC's The Perry Como Show in 1957. In 1959, she became the billboard girl on The Steve Allen Show, which gave her consistent national exposure even if she was not yet speaking much on camera. In 1958, she received the Miss Byline crown, chosen by photographers and reporters, and that recognition led to an appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show. Producer Hal B. Wallace saw her and signed her to a 7-year contract. It sounded like everything she had been working toward. Then he told her she was not ready, and her option was dropped. Another person might have read that as a final answer. Donna read it as incomplete information and kept going. In 1960, she appeared in one of the most remembered episodes of The Twilight Zone, the episode titled Eye of the Beholder, which aired in November of that year. The story was about beauty and conformity, and the production used 2 actresses to play the same character, with Donna appearing as the revealed face in the episode's central twist. There was a quiet irony in that casting. The episode questioned society's obsession with conventional appearance while simultaneously depending on a very specific kind of beauty to make the twist land. Donna was aware of that tension. She had spent years being evaluated for her looks while trying to be taken seriously for everything else. Then came the audition that changed her life, though it very nearly did not happen at all. When the Beverly Hillbillies was casting its lead female role of Elly May Clampett, more than 500 actresses wanted the part. Donna had been in acting school for exactly 1 week. What saved her was not training. It was truth. When producers asked her to milk a live goat on the spot, she did not hesitate. She had grown up milking cows in Louisiana and figured a goat would work about the same. That calm, instinctive comfort told the producers something no audition speech could convey. She was not performing country. She was country. After she was selected, fate added one more obstacle. She was involved in a car accident when a mechanic driving her vehicle was hit by a Bentley at a red light. She spent 17 days in the hospital. Producers continued narrowing down candidates while she was recovering. She pushed herself to make it to the screen test because she could not allow the chance to disappear after everything it had taken to reach that door. The Beverly Hillbillies premiered on September 26, 1962. That was also Donna's 30th birthday. The show reached #1 in the ratings within 3 weeks and averaged around 57 million viewers per episode at its peak. It ran for 9 seasons and 274 episodes, and Donna appeared in every single one. What the audience saw as effortless was actually the result of a woman who had spent years learning how to keep her face calm while her interior life churned. The set was not always peaceful. Buddy Ebsen and Nancy Culp had sharp political disagreements that became personal over time. Max Baer Jr., who played Jethro, was intense and volatile by his own admission. He acknowledged that he yelled at Irene Ryan, that she yelled back, and that he upset Donna badly enough to make her cry. Donna navigated all of it by staying neutral, holding on to the manners she had been raised with, and refusing to add fuel to fires that were never hers to start. Her faith was not a talking point. It was the architecture of how she survived. She read her Bible. She kept her boundaries. When the show ended in 1971, Cancelled by CBS not because of ratings, but because the network wanted a younger urban audience, Donna was 39 and suddenly without the role that had defined her public identity for a decade. Typecasting hit her immediately and hard. She wanted serious roles, the kind of parts given to actresses she admired like Ingrid Bergman and Deborah Kerr. The industry kept offering her the same sweet country image she had already spent 9 years playing. She refused most of those offers. She also walked away again when a producer implied that favors were part of the negotiation. The pattern had not changed in the industry, and neither had she. In 1971, she married Robert M. Leeds, a director connected to the show. The marriage lasted 9 years before ending in divorce in 1980. She never spoke publicly about what broke it apart, and she never married again. People who knew her said she was genuinely hurt and that the wound stayed with her. Rather than chase a return to spotlight that was not coming, she turned toward something that had always been underneath everything else. She began recording gospel music. Her first album came out in 1980, followed by others through the decade. She started speaking at churches and youth events, not as a celebrity making an appearance, but as a woman who had actually lived through something and wanted to be honest about it. She studied at Rhema Bible Training Center. She wrote a children's book that combined her love of animals with faith-based storytelling. She was not rebuilding a career. She was building a life. Even in her late 70s, she was willing to fight when something felt genuinely wrong. In 2011, she discovered that a Barbie doll modeled on Elly May Clampett was using an actual photograph of her without permission. She filed a federal lawsuit in Baton Rouge against Mattel and CBS Consumer Products, sought a jury trial, and demanded damages of at least $75,000. The companies argued they owned the character rights. Donna argued that a character and a person are not the same thing, and that her face, her image, and her presence could not be owned by someone else simply because they held a copyright. The case settled confidentially in December 2011. The terms were never disclosed, but the act of filing mattered regardless of the outcome. Around 2005, she returned to Zachary, Louisiana, close to where she had been born. She gardened. She spent time with family. She answered fan mail with genuine care because she never treated the people who had watched her as an audience to be managed. She treated them as people who deserved a real response. She was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer toward the end of her life and died on January 1, 2015, at Baton Rouge General Hospital, surrounded by family. She was 82 years old.